3 seconds. Hello, I am Stephen Williams, and I am here for another session of Behind the Veil. And this is my first interview for my channel, and I am so excited. For those of you who go to GBC, she looked like somebody, right? What I want you to do is take an opportunity to subscribe down below, somewhere down there, subscribe, hit the notification bell, invite your friends, invite everybody to come to be a part of this particular session. We are excited today as we travel behind the veil, and we are talking to the lovely, the wonderful, the one and only Miss Ellen G. McCloud. Ellen G. McCloud. And we're going to have some things, and we're discussing some wonderful stuff. We're going to interview. I'm going to take time and just talk to her and find out exactly. You're going to hear some great stories about her and about her life. And it's going to be good. You know, we're fighting to be fit. And so it's in the area of faith, focus, finances, and fitness. Faith, focus, finances, and fitness. And so today is my very, very special guest. This is Miss Ellen G. McCloud. How are you?
Fine.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for this opportunity.
For hanging out with the bishop. With the bishop. I am so excited that you would consent to kind of talk through this, and we want to hear about your story, and I'm so elated. For those of you who don't know, this is Angela's mama. Angela's mama. And I want to go ahead and get into it, and just early I want to ask a few questions. So take us back to childhood. And what kind of young lady were you? 12, 13, 14?
Well, actually, I was born here in Winston.
Born in Winston, okay.
Okay, and I lived with my grandparents until about age 7.
Oh, wow.
And then my mother lived in Chicago. So I went to Chicago, and during my teen years, I lived in Chicago.
Did you?
Yes.
On the south side? No.
North side.
North side?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was back and forth between Winston and Chicago. And then I finally stayed with my grandmother, I guess I came back in I finished that. I came back in the 10th or
10th grade.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, I had done some school years between that.
Right.
So I was just back and forth. And I finished Atkins.
Oh, good deal.
Yeah. So.
So how was Chicago?
Chicago was nice. I wouldn't want to live there now.
Gotcha.
But it has everything, all the educational advantages. And then, see, I came up during which would have been segregation.
Okay, let's talk about it.
But the North wasn't as bad as the South, So the schools in the North were actually better.
Okay.
And I think I learned more during those years, by going to school in the North most of the time.
So you remember bathrooms colored and...
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
a lot of our, my generation, I'm just on the cusp of that. So I'm born in 67. And so I've seen it, but by the time I got up, it was integrated. So it's interesting.
Yeah. So the schools in the North were integrated.
Got you.
And then the schools in the South were not.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the schools in the South because it was more personal. Mm-hmm. And the teachers were more personal, and they cared more about you. Mm-hmm. So segregation wasn't all bad, and blacks were closer
Yeah.
doing segregation.
Yes.
And we had more businesses doing segregation. We had theaters and restaurants and shops and
wow.
So
the Black Wall Street was really a thing in your day where blacks really supported one another.
That's right.
Wow. Wow. And so you decided to come back. Why come back south?
Well, it's between my grandmother and my mother, and actually I didn't have anything to be like, she needs to stay here.
Gotcha.
Then I would have gone back, but I fell in love, and I met my husband in high school, and we got married.
That always gets us there.
So I've been here, ever since.
Any siblings?
I had one sister.
One sister. She was in Chicago?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but she's not. My sister is passed.
Okay.
My mother's passed, so I don't go to Chicago anymore. I used to go on a regular basis, but I have a nephew, and but still, I just don't go.
Winston is home.
Winston is definitely home.
Winston.
I love Winston-Salem.
Good deal. So got married right out of high school. You
Yes.
married your high school sweetheart.
Yes.
Oh wow. So were you the rambunctious type, or were you the quiet type when you were younger? Or
I was pretty quiet.
you was quiet.
Yeah, I was quiet. I always have had strong ideas. I would like the saying still waters run deep.
Yeah.
I had deeply, but I wasn't wild or rambunctious, I was a more reasoning type person.
Intellectual. My kind of woman. And so after you get married, did you pursue any other college, or you just went ahead and started being mom, being a wife?
I did both.
Wow.
I went to High Point University and took some courses. And years ago, there was a place called Drones Business College.
Okay.
I went there.
Drones.
First, I always go to school. I have always gone to school. When I first got married, I wanted to be a beautician. And some people, the older people that might look at this might remember LeMay Beauty College.
Oh, wow.
So I went to LeMay and finished. And then I kind of settled and started having children and saw that I couldn't do a business with raising children.
Wow. So you got married very, very early.
Yeah, I was 18.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And was still going to that educational mindset, though. Where'd you get that educational mindset from?
From my mother, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where that comes, because we're going to talk about that a little bit later, because I'm just in awe of you being able to be a great entrepreneur, and we're going to talk about some pitfalls. So I was curious as to, has it always been I wanted to have my own business, or did you work, or?
Oh, I worked for the company Fairchild Industries for 30-some years.
Okay. What was Fairchild?
Fairchild made air pressure regulators and transmissions.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. And I went to school there. I started as an assembler, and then first I thought, maybe I wanted to go into office and accounting, so that's when I went to drones. And then I kept working as assembler, and then I decided I wanted to be an inspector there. So I went to Poseidon Tech and took drafting and blueprint reading for that job. And of course, there was so much resistance to moving into that position, but we did have a union.
Okay.
And finally, I was the first black mechanical inspector.
Oh, that is good.
And then I moved up to being actually the highest rated black woman in Fairchild.
Wow.
Because I was a labor grade mechanical inspector. The top grade is 12. And when the guy that was a 12 moved out, they did away with that position. That's when I decided I wanted to do something else outside of Fairchild.
Was it equally as bad racism?
There was racism there, but you knew how to handle it. You kind of accepted it.
Yeah.
And I was aware, but we have been a smart people. We always have known how to handle the racism. You know, you don't succumb to it. You know, that's how we moved on. You know,
thrive.
Let them think they're leading.
Right.
And let them even think you're stupid. You know, some of them you're like, they're so stupid, but you know they were smart.
Right.
So
So what years are we talking about? 60s? Are we in the heat?
No,
we're in the heat of the.
We're in the 60s.
Racial divide there.
I think when did I start working at Fairchild? It must have been like 64, 65.
Oh wow, okay.
And I retired early. I had planned. That's when I planned I was to be an entrepreneur. When I was.
So did you?
So all the races, you know, where they just cut me off, you know, which I still worked and I enjoyed working. And when I retired, they're like, "What you gonna do?" You know, you're not gonna find another job like this. And I'm like, probably not, you know. But
did you prepare for it?
I did. I started preparing to retire at age 50, really age 50, because I retired at 55.
What made you do that? Because a lot of us get on jobs and we just we don't have the wherewithal to prepare. A lot of our the people, African Americans, we struggle with preparation.
But one thing, it was I think I retired in 97. One thing, my children were wrong.
Got you. Okay.
See, I needed a job. Like, I'm not going to quit my job and have to raise these children, you know. So they did come first. I did other things, but I always made sure that they were taken care of.
Yeah.
That they had food and clothes, and they had anything they wanted to do, you know, they could do it, you know. Like, if you want to take music, I have this piano over here that none of really plays. Like, you know, if you want to do it, I'm behind you.
We're going to be behind you.
That's right.
Now, was it unusual for mother and father to be together in this neighborhood? And the reason why I asked, I grew up with my father being gone, and there's this whole notion that the African American male, black male, doesn't grow up with a full house. And so it sounds like you all were really doing your thing to make sure you had family.
Well, I had a trouble marriage, though.
Yeah. I mean, my mom had one too.
I had a trouble marriage. I had to just, you know, we split up a couple of times, you know, and actually my husband had a drinking problem.
Got you.
And I got so that, like, enough is enough. You do it. We stayed together still over 20 years.
Wow.
Because my oldest daughter's in college when we went
Finally.
out, like, this is it.
This is it. I'm finished. Yeah, I'm going to do
But he was here a long time, and So they had a father figure for many, many years.
Good deal.
Mm-hmm.
Good deal. What I want to do, I really hope I can find somebody from that generation, because my father was the same way. Struggled with alcoholism and struggled with just being the consistent male figure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it has pushed us, the younger generation, to make sure we want to stick and stay.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but that adversity, how did you overcome? I mean, what made you, where do you get this perseverance from?
I do have strong faith too. Now, I was brought up in the church.
Okay.
And I do believe in God. You know,
Yeah.
That's it. It's just my faith, and it's strong.
It really is.
It's not just something, you know, I talk about, and sometimes words mean see people claim certain things in it, but you have to, you know, really have it.
Now, where'd you grow up in the church? Did you have one church you went to?
Yeah, basically. I was born at 1207 East Blue Street.
Okay.
And that's right down the street from Mount Olive Baptist Church, which is C. Great Drive. My grandfather they used to call them choristers.
Okay.
They was over the choir.
And they were called what?
Choristers.
Okay, I got you. I'm with you. I'm with you.
And he was a deacon, and my grandfather, you know, the time I spent with my grandmother, he was just my idol, you
Gotcha.
know. And that was my main father figure. And
Grandfather.
Yeah. And I thought he could do no wrong.
Yeah.
He said one bad word, and I still wouldn't own it, but it was a bad word for him. Somebody said, "Oh, that ain't no bad word." My granddaddy says that.
Right. That's good. That is good. So we have that in common. Raised by my grandfather.
Okay.
You know, raised by my grandmother. And so that's that commonality. There was that whole that gap for whatever reason,
Mm-hmm.
where the parents and grandparents, it was a lot more together back then.
Yes, it was.
You could depend on family.
Yes.
To really connect. Well, that's
Yes.
interesting. We're learning some good stuff today. We are learning some good stuff. So we have the church. So you've stayed in this educational viewpoint. You've really made what I hear is a thread of learning.
That's right. That's very important.
You know, you seem to
Yeah.
always have this whole notion, I need to learn, or I need to do something else, and that's interesting.
And then if you're going to do something, you have to learn about it. You can't just jump out and do something.
Right.
I'm going to do this, and you have to do the research. And what does it take to do this? You know, what do I need, you know, to be successful in this thing? So
where did all this come from? Is it just innate with you? Is that
just
something about
yeah.
just something about your makeup?
Yeah.
To be able to say, because a lot of people want to, especially in this generation, they want to do it without putting the prep behind it.
Prepare yourself.
They don't want to put in the work.
That's right.
To see if it's gonna work.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I did some stuff, so I'm going to ask just a couple questions. Out of all the things, you know, friends that you've had over the years, what would you say it would be surprising about you to other people who've been around you? Is there something that people would say, man, I didn't see that coming?
I don't know. Because I'm always surprising people seem like, you know, they just...
You surprise me.
You know, they don't know what I'm going to do next.
Are you always staying conscious of trying to do something different? Is that
Yes.
is that your Your motive?
Whatever I'm interested in. I'm going to do something. I'm not going to sit idle. Something will come, I'm going to do something. I'm going to always be doing something.
What were you interested in younger versus what you're doing now? And we're going to talk about that. Like, one of the questions I have was, like, what was your dream? Or did you have a dream when you were younger? Did you want to be a doctor, lawyer, dentist? Or what was that about?
I got married so early, too. You know how young people, this is it, I'm going to get married and have children.
Yeah.
That's, I did not, I thought I would go to college, but I just decided to get married. That was it. Then my dream was to have a wonderful family and my dream was my children, basically. That became my dream. Let them be all that they could be, and
because you have 5 girls, 4 girls.
Uh-huh.
You have 4 girls,
Uh-huh.
so it was just the 4 of them. It's just you had all girls.
All girls.
Oh Lord, which one of them is you? Which one of them is you? All of them got a little bit of
all
you?
of them got a little bit, yeah. And they tell their grandchildren now that, you don't want to mess with my mama mean, but they have instilled in their grands that I'm mean, but they all have attitudes. If I was that mean, I would have. Right. I would have broke them. All of them out. All of them have attitudes, and all of them came out.
So how was that? So we're talking about 60s, 70s. How was that raising girls? What was your thought process in raising girls in that era, in that time? Because, so we're talking about, for the audience who don't know, you're talking about, first of all, African American in the South, and then you're a woman. Those were 3 major negatives, and you're having daughters in the middle of Martin Luther King and the March on Washington and the contentiousness of that. And
the whole thing was pride.
Pride?
Pride.
Gotcha.
I'm black and I'm proud. You remember
that
was
black,
and I'm proud.
Is that James Brown? I'm black. Yeah.
And that just no excuses. I'm black, and I'm like, is this black enough for you?
Gotcha.
No pride. You are what you are, and be proud of what you are. You are so blessed. Just let them know.
That's amazing that you would have that. I mean, was that the culture of the community at that time?
Yeah, basically, and it was my theme song. This is still a pride. And let them know that they're pretty, and that they're work. Oh, you look so good. Oh, you're just special.
Yeah, we do have a large. We have a problem like that in the African American community. They don't know some of the young ladies, young men as well, don't know their self-worth.
That's right.
And so for you to be able to instill that, and I'm always intrigued by segregation or that part of being really proud to be African American. Mm-hmm. How somehow we've lost that in 2019 for whatever reason. Hopefully we can get it back. But so raising girls was, you just instilled in them the same attitude, survival, learning. Is that what you?
Yes.
That's interesting. Good deal. Good deal. Give me a lesson that you would tell your 21-year-old self. If you could go back and talk to your 21-year-old self, how would you advise them? How would you advise you? What are some lessons that you would tell that 21-year-old what to do, what not to do?
Oh, I just take time to develop myself more because, yeah, like I said, I got married so early to really reach your potential, you know, because when you're really young, you know, you haven't done all the things that you could do, and you haven't gone as far as you could go. But you never know. I have no regrets, actually.
That's going to be one of my questions. You know, did you have any regrets?
No.
Growing up, you know?
Well, I have no regrets for marrying early, and I have no regrets for, you know, the things. I have no regrets. And I don't even look back, really, that much.
Good.
I mean, it's, some people would think you at a disadvantage, and, you know, you didn't have this advantage or that advantage. I don't even look back at what disadvantages I might have had. Why? You know, anyway.
Forward thinker.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't dwell on what then. That's a mistake to dwell on the past.
Wow. Okay.
That's one of the biggest mistake people make, you know, and the biggest excuse they use, like, if this had been this way, I wouldn't be like this. If this had been the other way, I would, and always blaming it on somebody else. You know, everybody want to shift the blame, but don't even look back. What can you do now? You know.
Yeah. Now, is that a lesson you learned younger, or
over time?
Over time.
Yeah.
Over time.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you. So you're excelling at your job. How was the work experience as an African American female, probably in a male dominated business?
It was definitely male dominated because at the end I inspected in a machine shop with men, and I have a sense of humor, which is good. And I'll laugh at them, you know, when I piss them off.
Right.
And it's one guy, he just got so pissed off at me that he wouldn't even speak to me. And then after a couple of months, he came back and started talking to me. I'm like, darn, he talking to me again. What can I do to piss him off again? And a lot of things don't bother me because sometimes you can see how the devil works, you know, like.
Got you.
You know.
Just kind of brush it off.
They try to pull your chain. You're like, you know where they're coming from.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You have something that you can see before they even get there.
He gives you that discerning spirit.
Yeah.
You can discern certain things, and it doesn't bother you. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, I understand. Raising 4 girls. Toughest thing about that. What was tough? And then we're gonna bring up, and the reason why I'm asking is because this generation doesn't understand the struggle. Some of them really don't understand the struggle to be successful in their situation, so they make excuses. And I'd like what was the toughest? Because you got 4 girls.
Yeah, you have to be consistent. You know, you can't be wishy-washy. You know, like if I tell you something, that's what I mean.
Gotcha.
If I say you need to be in here at a certain time, that's what I mean. And if I say ain't nobody coming in here at a certain time, I had to guard my house too.
Certainly.
And that's what I mean. And I know one time Sonia's friend came, it was late, and like, you know, put him out. And Joyce was at UNC Charlotte, and the time was, you don't remember, you have to pay for long distance calls.
I remember.
You do?
Yes.
Anyway, Joyce and Sonia were very close, and she would call and talk to Joyce.
Oh,
and
yes.
then I walked up on her one time. She said, after I had put, my God, she said, "You know what your mama did?" So you don't try to be their friend.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not your sister. You don't talk to me that way.
Right.
You know, I didn't beat them to death, but I'll back them up, especially, you know, after Joyce is taller than I am.
Certain age,
yeah.
you got to put something else on.
Yeah.
I understand that. I had a mother who I was taller than and bigger than, and she didn't play. Biggest accomplishment that, so, you know, from there to now, what could you say outside of your children? What would you say? You know, I accomplished that. That was something that was good for me. Yeah, that I'm proud of.
Retiring at an early age, you know, before average retirement age.
Yeah.
And to work and not have to get an outside job. I think that's wonderful, because I thought I was going to have to go to find another job, and I got physically ill, thinking about doing another 9 to 5 to stay in business, that my businesses took care of me without me going back to another regular job. I like that, because everybody thought, you know, you're not going to make lots of, and I might not. I said, but you see me at McDonald's, just give me your order and go on. Yeah.
But perfect segue, because what made you, I had your calendar. Mm-hmm. This is what prompted this. I had your calendar. Angela would give me your calendar, and I didn't know it was your calendar. So I was thinking she's just giving me a calendar because I got to keep up with my schedule. She wants me to be on schedule. And this just happened one day. I looked down and I was like, McCloud? I was like, what is this? And I'm sure she told me. But me being like I am, just brushed right by it. And I was like, wait a minute, there are 2 things here. Like, her mom has 2 businesses. So I asked her about you, and she shared with me, you know, that you have an accounting business, and then you have the tours. Mm-hmm. So now, are these the businesses that you really wanted to aspire to do when you first come out? Or is this something that you just gradually fell into? And what makes you think I can run a business? What?
I never wondered about it. If I was like, if it comes on my heart, I do it. You know, I don't like, I guess I think I can do what I can do, you know. Don't think you can't do something, you know. If like, I want to do this, so you prepare to do it. You know, it never dawned on me not to. And actually, I did start a tax business while I was still working, and I'd work through the season, you know, during tax season.
What makes you think you can do taxes? I mean,
I know I could do taxes. That was I took.
So how do you start this? So
I started working for H&R Block, and I did their tax courses, and I did the individual and the small business tax courses, and then I worked for H&R Block for several years while I was working.
While you working?
Uh-huh. But you know, this I didn't work every evening, just most of the time, you know. Then the girls started cutting up while I was working, so I said, well, I'm gonna have to turn this loose, but some of the clients still followed me, and then I was doing taxes for people at work, and then it's just started. I got the reputation for doing a good return, and I've done some people I'm on their 3rd generation did their mama's taxes, did their taxes, and I'm doing their children's taxes.
Now, were you always that, like, numbers is your area? That was your thing, like when you started working?
Yes.
When did you discover that? let you know?
In high school.
In high school, okay.
Yeah, because I took accounting, I took geometry and trigonometry. And I love geometry because there's so many solutions. I guess I'm always looking for the solution. We used to do pages of solutions, going from if this is this, then
I hated the if this is this.
Yeah, move from one thing to the other, to solve a problem in geometry. So I love geometry. And that helped me in an inspection because you had to lay out certain parts to be machined, and you had certain instruments. You might not know how you glue the part, and then you have a master gauge or master blocks.
You still remember?
Yeah. And you set the gauge and you scribe. Then you might have to rotate and scribe where the holes would go. So the math really, really helped me.
Got you.
So, and math causes you to think, causes you to reason. I think that helped my reasoning, that geometry. I love geometry. And
wow. Good deal. And so you decide to start this business. I'm in awe that you retire early. Okay, so let's talk about that. The whole notion of retiring early, and you say I'm going to keep this tax business, right?
Yes.
So it's really a matter of supply and demand because you have a following, and that's so. How do you know? How do you know to price it to make it so that you survive? Because tax season is only. It's only a certain amount of time, and so what happens after tax season is over? Yeah. So.
But see, then I had the travel business, the bus.
So what made you start that?
I love to travel, and I love people, and group travel was my thing. And of course, I went to school.
There's a theme here. There's a theme.
I went to, what was the name of the school in Greensboro, travel school. And, but that wasn't the type of travel I want to do. And that was kind of back then where agents would get called, get airline reservations and all that. But I love.
More like a travel agency, yeah.
Well, I am a travel agent too. Certified. But I love group travel, and that's my niche. And I love people, and I love when people get together and go certain places. And I've gone to the Grand Canyon, Mount Rushmore, Niagara Falls, Ottawa, and Montreal. Go to the Essence Music Festival. I went 10 years straight to that. That was so much fun. And I went the year before last to the Essence Festival. And this year I'm going, in June, I'm going to Baltimore to visit the Blacks in Wax Museum.
Yes.
The Great Blacks. Have you been?
I heard about that.
Oh, you need to go. You need to go.
I heard it was magnificent.
It is. It's better than the one in D.C.
That's what they say.
And I've taken 4 trips to D.C. to the other museum.
That's what they say.
I found out about the Great Blacks in Wax Museum right after I had got my first bus. I took my church up to Baltimore to worship with another church. And every time I go to a city, I don't just go to the city, I go to see what's in the city. And so we went to the Inner Harbor and the Blacks in Wax Museum, and I was just blown away.
Wow.
It is great.
They say it's a beautiful thing.
And it's not just artifacts, like it is basically in DC. It's a replica of the ship where you can see the actual ship and the slaves laying there like logs.
Wow.
And, you know, it goes on up to Barack Obama, and he's a wax figure standing there talking.
Wow.
I have not been in about 14 years, so.
Wow.
But I've had the bus business for like almost 15 years.
So did you start these businesses at the same time, or one just kind of merged into each other?
I had the tax business, you know, like I said, even while I was working,
Right.
I had been doing taxes like 30 years. And then once I retired, of course, I'm going to do something, get into something that I really love. You know, like I said, I went to, can't think of the name of the school in Greensboro. That's a senior moment there.
That's all right. I haven't. So you were working at the company and doing taxes.
Uh-huh.
How long were you doing double work?
About 10 years, really.
10 years.
Uh-huh. I had been doing taxes a long time. And then once I retired, that's when I wanted to travel. And so, now this is one time I didn't know exactly what I was doing. I got the bright idea I was going to buy a bus.
Okay.
So, I had to do my research, but see, I had nobody, it's no school you can go to.
Right.
Nobody's going to help you.
Right.
I had no mentor. And, well, I went to the city. They helped me get the first bus. They helped finance the first bus.
Wow.
And my main problem with the bus business, and I loved it, still love it, but finding a driver that you could depend on.
Mm-hmm.
See, in taxes, I didn't have to depend on nobody but myself.
But yourself.
And so I progressed in taxes. And then finding a good mechanic, you know, they see a woman coming like, well, we can take a vacation now.
Right. Right. Take advantage of this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But basically, still I survived. And then I bought a newer bus. And one thing, the drivers, they were, because when drivers on the bus, that's all people see. That's
Right.
you.
Right.
And every driver wanted to own a bus. And when I got in the business, it was one black company that had been here in business years that was going basically out of business. But after I got in, everybody figured like if she can do it, you know, anybody can do it. So there are 4 other black companies sprung up
As a
just
result
as a result of me going in business. And it's one that's still doing pretty good. That's still in business. But he started out with me, and he did an article, and in it he did admit that I was his inspiration. But it's so dog eat dog, and
in that business.
yes,
Yeah.
that's what. And then it was just me.
Got you.
Me and the Lord.
You and the Lord.
Yeah, just me. I had no backup, you know. I just, you know,
But
just a woman out there trying to make the best decisions that I could. But I stayed in it a long time, and it was beginning to be a money pit, you know, like I cannot
because of the buses or the bus.
Because of the undercutting, the mechanics, the drivers tearing up your bus, you know, stuff like that.
Wow.
You know, you just can't, it costs a lot to really keep a bus going. But the business part I did no problem with fuel tax reports and all the DOT regulations. The business part, I'm more business than, if I had somebody to step in, you know, like help me with these drivers, most people, now that was where I was really taken advantage of, you know,
Gotcha.
as a black woman,
Mm-hmm.
even by other black men,
Oh yeah.
So
So were you one of the few black women, or maybe the only
one I know of.
The only black woman in this area that had a bus company?
Yeah.
And had your own bus?
Had my own bus. Did charter service.
Did charter service?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I chartered the bus.
And we can't even get people to, do two things. And here you are. We can't get them to go to the mall and come back. And here you are. Oh, wow. So, entrepreneur, just doing it and still doing taxes.
Yeah. I'm still traveling too. I don't have the bus, but like I said, I'm a travel agent. I could, but it's not my desire to send people different places and whatever, I still attached to group travel. And
that's your passion.
That's my passion. So, but I'd love to have my own bus to do that, but I'm not financially situated where I can do that again. Yeah.
How did you handle? And I wanted to know this because of course, you are absolutely amazing because you're doing this not only as African American woman, but now you're doing it like by yourself. And this has got to be what, 90s maybe, when you do the bus?
In the 90s,
In the 90s when you're doing this.
Yeah, about 98, 97, 98.
Yeah, so you've raised 4 girls. You've done the highest thing in the company. You've excelled in that. You're doing taxes. You retire early. You have your own bus company. How did you handle failure and disappointment?
I don't feel like I failed, and I'm not disappointed.
At any of it?
I don't feel like I failed,
How'd you handle trouble?
I just struggled through it.
You seem to, because you have a bubbly personality. I guess for you probably just laugh some of it off. And like, well, that didn't work, so let's move on to something else. Mm-hmm. That's a good way of, that's a good way of viewing it. How about your greatest successes? How did you handle being successful? A large part of the problem that I think people have is they know how to struggle, but they don't know how to handle success.
I haven't reached ultimate success, I don't think I've reached.
You don't think you've reached it?
I'm proud of my girls. I think they're all good citizens. That's the best you can do.
Yeah.
And I haven't no great success, but I'm just as happy as if I had succeeded in something.
But you really have had success, to do what you've been able to do under the circumstances during the time that you've been able to do that is absolutely phenomenal. And this is the kind of stuff that goes unheard of. They talk about the people who are on Broadway or your Oprah Winfrey's, but you're definitely a type of success to be able to see you, African American female, doing it, especially in the 60s and during the time that you were raised, and you're an entrepreneur. You're handling it.
And I think it's good that I have inspired people to do it, even if some of them backstab me, but they will admit that I was their inspiration. They see me doing it, and they figure anybody can do it. A lot of them don't know how hard it is, but
it's really hard. Yeah. It's not as easy as you make it. Okay, I'm. Thank you so much for your time. I'm not going to take too much more of your time. I wanted to. There's 2 things. I want to 3 things really. How important was God? How important is church and and relationship throughout the whole thing with your life, because you've been pretty successful, and we're gonna try to see if we can get one of your daughters to buy you a bus.
Miracles never cease. Maybe you can get them together. All of them put together might do a down payment. Yeah.
That's funny. But how important has God been to your process?
He's been number one. He's been everything to me, you know, to my faith in God, you know, just knowing, you know, that He's there, you know.
Got you.
And just like they say, the joy of the Lord is my strength.
Good deal. Good
and
deal.
That's where I get my strength from. You know, I just don't worry about it.
Now you laughing. You laugh a lot. I see where your babies get it from now.
Yeah, all of them laugh.
All the time.
Yeah, they do.
All right. I put you in an audience, and you have an audience full of young ladies. What advice do you give them?
Take pride in yourself. You are somebody. I mean, and I look at, because I've taught Sunday school too. I taught Sunday school for 23 years. I taught the juniors, and I'm not going to tell you why I quit. But, and some of them think especially the young girls, think they have to be accepted and have to be important to boys, you know, have to yield to certain pressures.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them, you know, nobody wants anything easy. And I have told myself, you know, they have to realize they got the goods. And as long as they keep them, the guys go run after them.
That's right. You control the narrative.
Yeah. So you have to know that, know what you're worth, you know. And just don't lower yourself for anybody. You know, if somebody think you ought to do this, you ought to do that, you know, it's beneath you, don't do it.
Yeah.
You have pride in yourself.
Good deal. Good deal. All right. So here's a few things. We're going to close on this. I always have these are fun anecdotes things. So I'm going to say something like favorite food.
You know, fried chicken.
She likes the bird.
And barbecue ribs.
That barbecue ribs, fried chicken. Okay. Favorite color?
Red, believe it or not.
Red.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Biggest surprise about our society now? What surprises you most about our society?
That's what's going to say stupidity. But
I would say that too.
You know, people just don't know, and they don't read, they don't study, they believe anything they hear. Oh.
Gotcha.
When you look at some of the interviews in the street these people do, they don't know who, you know, they give these stupid answers.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Pet peeve. What's a pet peeve? What gets under your skin?
Not much.
Oh, that's good.
Really not much.
I'll take that answer.
Okay.
I'll take it.
Okay.
All right. Here's a good one, because you laugh all the time. What makes you smile?
Other people, you smile at me, I'll smile back.
I love it. I love it. Just smile. Introvert or extrovert?
I'm sort of an extrovert. Most people that don't know me think I'm an introvert.
Got
Because
you.
I don't just talk to people, you know, just don't go out and try to. You have to.
But once we get to know you,
Yeah.
it's on.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, large crowds or small ones?
Small.
Small. Okay. Favorite TV show? Do you have one?
Right now, I look at Rachel Maddow.
I'll take it. Cross your generation, favorite singer? Male or female?
Okay. Well, I like Shirley Caesar.
Okay.
I really like Shirley Caesar, and she's hung in there for all these years too.
Still sounds the same too.
She does. Yeah.
How do you spend your quiet time?
Doing nothing.
You have visited so many places. What's the place that you still desire to visit?
Africa.
Wow. Great. I'd like to do that too. You get up early or go to bed late?
I get up early.
Early.
Mm-hmm. I'm an early person.
I want, last question, and you've answered it earlier, but I'm going to let you answer it again. What is God to you?
Everything.
Everything. Thank you so much. We have learned so much. Perseverance, struggle, how you've overcome. I appreciate the opportunity for you to allow me to interview you. I learned so much, and I hope the audience is going to be encouraged by this interview. That study, you can do whatever you want to do. There's a theme here of studying. You got to learn how to study, research, and you can accomplish, have value. You can accomplish anything that you want to accomplish. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. She has a tax. What's the name of your tax company?
McCloud Tax Service.
McCloud Tax Service. So if you need some taxes done, check out McCloud Tax Services. And then the bus company is?
Ms. Mac Tours.
Ms. Mac Tours. So if you want to go somewhere, we need to go to this wax museum in Baltimore. We need to hang out. And so if you need that, please check her out and look for her. And I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Listen, I appreciate you for hanging out with me as we have gone behind the veil. Please subscribe down below. Hit some notification buttons. And then I'll see you next week, this same time, as we continue our journey behind the veil. Thank you.